Hello Internet and welcome to Parsing John. This is the third Latin video looking over John chapter 1 verses 1 through 5. In our previous video we went through the Greek verse 5, the last of the Greek videos. And after this video, once we've finished going through verse 5 of this chapter, we get to take a look at the two texts together and see how closely or how far away from the Greek the Latin text is. Now, the first thing we want to do right off is read the text aloud. Et lux in tenebris lucet, et tenebrae eam non comprehenderunt. Okay, now, just as we've done every time before now, we always want to find the verb first when translating from a foreign language text into English. If we look at its conjunction, I'm going to go ahead and translate that, but it's not our verb. Luxno in tenebris, we've got a prepositional phrase. Lucet and tenebris don't match, and lucet actually gives us our verb. It's got the T, which is a third-person singular ending. All right, now we would want to figure out what tense this verb is, and it's going to be a present tense, if I remember correctly. Hang on. It could also be future. That would entirely depend on what the principal parts of this verb are. If it's lukeo, a second conjugation, then it's going to be present. But if it's luko, a third conjugation, then it would have to be a future tense. Not knowing which, I'm going to have to pencil in both. The easy solution to this would, of course, just be go to your dictionary, find out, it'll tell you, clears up the whole issue. But I'm going to write both, future and present. And it's going to be active and indicative. And it means shines or will shine. Context is going to probably tell us that the present is the one that is most accurate. All right, now we know we're looking for a third-person singular subject. Our clause ends here at the conjunction, so we go back. Prepositional phrase can't be the subject. Lux here, if we look previously, lux was a predicate nominative, and it is feminine, so this can only be nominative singular, and it's the third declension, so all the more proof for that. Nominative singular feminine, subject, light, and it makes a lot of sense with the verb. And light shines in tenebris. Now we can do our prepositional phrase. In takes either the accusative or the ablative. This is not an accusative ending, except in a few copies of Virgil, and there are probably some other places, but Virgil's the only place that I remember seeing it. So this has to be ablative, and it's going to be plural. And this word, if I remember correctly, is going to be feminine in form. And if we look ahead, tenebrae, yeah, tenebrae confirms it for us. It is in fact feminine. And this means in darkness. Okay, and light in darkness shines. Et, and. This is going to be nominative plural feminine. It could, of course, be dative or ablative, but as we look at our verb, it's not the type of verb that's going to want a dative or an indirect object. So nominative makes the most sense. And darkness. Now, I'm translating this as a singular in English, even though in Latin it appears as a plural, because in Latin there are frequently situations where we have words that appear in plural form, but in English they translate only as a singular, like the word castra for camp. Castra is a neuter plural word, and it doesn't make sense to translate it into English. And the Romans set up the camps, when clearly they're only setting up one camp. So in English we keep it a singular word, even though we, the ones who've read the original text, know that it's actually plural in form. So a similar situation here. It's not in darknesses. We're just going to translate it as darkness. Okay, now what does the darkness do? Darkness comes to comprehenderunt. Erunt is going to be a third person plural, That's a perfect ending. If the you were different, we would know it would either be a different mood than indicative, or, pardon me, it could even be the future perfect. But nope, since we have the you, it's going to be perfect, active, and indicative. Okay, and this translates to under, there's an in there, stood. Okay, and darkness understood. Now we need a direct object to be the object of the verb when we look back. Non just tells us that the verb is actually not happening, and darkness did not understand. Did not understand what? Why our accusative singular feminine word. How do we know feminine? Because eam has the feminine forms of the demonstrative is, ea, id. And we know what this refers back to. Since it's feminine, it goes back to light, which is also feminine. And here we would say it. Now, had it been masculine, then the implication would be that it goes all the way back to deus, in which case we would have said does not understand him. But Luke's is feminine, this is feminine, so our only correct option is to say it here. And that, after we update this, finishes off our translation. From the beginning, no pun intended. In beginning was Word, and Word was before God, and God was Word. This one was in beginning before God. All things through him became, and without him became nothing which became. In him life was, and life was light of men. And light in darkness shines, or will shine, and darkness it did not understand. So far our text. All right, in the next video we get to take our Latin here and the Greek text, put them side by side, and take a look at how close the Latin is to the Greek, or where it differs. And I hope looking through these first 5 verses has been as helpful for you as it has been for me, and I hope you will join me when we move on to the next section of the Greek and Latin texts. We're going to be going through the same method, 1 to 2 verses at a video, and then when we reach the end of a paragraph or a major thought in chapter 1, we'll again compare the 2 texts together. All right, I hope you all have a good evening.